Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 12 o'clock on a Sunday, which means it's time for a Q&A. Now, this is where I take all the questions that you've asked over the course of the week and I try to answer them to the best of my ability. There's a whole bunch of questions being asked this week. I'm looking at the previous video. I'm seeing like 50 questions. Some of them might not all be questions, but that seems like an awful lot. Don't forget, if you want a question answered, all you have to do, very, very simply, is leave it in the comment to this video and I will get to it on next week's show. Here's the thing. I film these normally on a Wednesday, so it's Wednesday evening right now. That's when I film the Q&A. So if you want to guarantee to have your question answered, then please make sure that you let me know what the question is before Wednesday evening at the very, very latest. And if I miss your question, I'm very, very sorry, and I promise I will get to it as soon as I can. But with that being said, there are a lot of questions to get to, so I'm going to go straight into it. So here we go with this week's questions. Okay, so the first question is from Gertz Jan Segram. How are you? I hope you're well. I love the retro review idea. Awesome. When you learn a trick, when is a good moment to start performing a trick? How do you know that you've got it to that level that you can make it decent enough, but still at the stage where you can prevent yourself from learning bad habits? Now, I use family as a first audience, but if I accidentally flash, it's hard to convince them to see it a second time. It's a really good question, actually. It's that kind of age-old thing, isn't it? When should I actually do this in the real world? And I've talked about this on the channel before. I've met so many magicians, professional magicians and semi-professionals that buy a trick to put into their act and they keep it in their case and they take it to a gig and they never do it, and it stays in their case because although they've practiced it, they're worried about doing it in the real world in case it goes wrong and ends up going into their bottom drawer, even though they have every intention of doing it in the real world. And I think that especially when you start, that's where things like restaurants come in really, really handy. Because a restaurant is a really good place to work in new material. There's certain gigs that you want to bring your A material. You know, there's certain gigs, and you'll know which ones they are, but there's certain gigs, especially when you're working for a big agent or something like that, or an important client, there's certain gigs where you just want to make sure that everything you're doing is as bulletproof as possible, as Greg Wilson would say, 1,000-timer. But then there's other gigs that aren't as important. Not that they're not important, but you look at a restaurant, for example, there is a huge, massive turnaround. And if you do a trick and it doesn't go as you expected, it's not really too much of a problem because you can show them another trick, and it's not like they were the end client. They didn't even know they were going to be seeing magic probably till they came in the restaurant in the first place, and half an hour after leaving the restaurant they'll probably forget that you messed up anyway, and there's always another table that you can go to. A restaurant is a perfect example of a place that you can actually work new material in, and you can tweak the presentation and you can make it better and better and better. That's a good place to go and work something in. If you're the same principle works if you're performing on stage, you know, going to open mic nights and places like that is a good place to work in this material and find out if it actually works for you. I also would suggest having a friend that you can show things to, that you can show them to, show that friend again and again. And you want to have magic friends and non-magic friends. So when I'm working on a new routine, the people that I will show that routine to, first of all, are Nemid Phoenix, my friend Nemid, and he will let me show it to him over and over again. And likewise, he'll show me stuff all the time as well. Lloyd Barnes is another person. Ryland is another person. I know they'll be completely honest with me and they'll let me do it again. So I might show something to Ryland and you'll go, yeah, that's good, but you flashed there. And I'm like, okay, let me do it again. And I tend to show it to magic buddies first of all, just to try and make it so that I've got it to the point where I'm not going to flash. I want to get it to the point where I can do it competently. Then I'll take it and I'll show it to family, and normally that would be Sarah or Thea or you know, some other family that I have as well. And then I'll go and work it in gigs. Now, I've been doing this long enough now that I'm actually quite confident that once it's past the son test, the daughter test, and the wife test, and the Nemid test, and the Lloyd test, at that point, I'm fairly confident that I can put it into a gig and I'll be okay with it. Now, it might not be my best performance ever, but it'll be good enough, and then I can build on that as I go. Back in the day when I first started, that wasn't the case. and I would have to go into a restaurant or somewhere like that, or if you're brand new, you might want to find somewhere that you can go and perform for free, like retirement villages where you can just work material in. Because here's the thing, it's always going to get better the more you work it in. I was speaking to Eric Tate, who is an incredible magician. I mean, let's be honest, he's representing America in FISM in a few months' time, right? Eric is an amazing guy. And he was telling me that Vanishing Card, which Penguin bought out, he was demoing it at the Blackpool convention, and he did it like 300 or 400 times over the weekend. And although he'd played around with it and he performed it a few times before Blackpool, at the end of Blackpool, he was like a demon with this thing. And it's the same with any trick. The more you practice it, the more you perform it to real people, the better you're going to get. So I'd suggest find some magic buddies, even if it's like an online Zoom session with people you can trust. Find some magic buddies that you can show material to, and they can be honest with you, and then show it to friends and family that you can trust, and you can get their opinion, and then maybe push it out to your wider friend circles or put it into a gig which isn't as important as other gigs. So that's what I do. Hopefully that helps, and hopefully that's what you're looking for. Okay, I've had a lot of people basically say the same thing, which is yes to retro reviews. Some of us joined in magic in recent years, the latest and greatest. So stuff from the 90s and the 2000s would be of huge interest in the review form. Lots of people have said basically the same sort of thing. So I don't know if you noticed, you might have missed it. If you did, go back and watch it. I did episode 1 this Wednesday. I did episode 1 of what I'm calling Forgotten Gems, which is me taking a particular trick from an old project. It could be an old magazine, it could be an old book, it could be it could be a Penguin Live or something like that. Perform it and explain why I think it's so good. Right? That's episode 1 went live last Wednesday. I'm going to do episode 2. Is going to be going next Wednesday. It's going to be a weekly thing, hopefully every Wednesday evening. So the Forgotten Gems thing is happening, and I'm hoping to let more people know about tricks that they might not have seen from years ago. I am going to be doing retro review shows occasionally as well on a Sunday evening as part of the review show specials. I'm working on one at the moment. They're not going to be every week, but they're going to be maybe once a month or so. So look out for those as well. But if you haven't seen the Forgotten Gems, there's a playlist for it in the playlist section on YouTube. And yeah, the first one was on a routine that G put onto his Penguin Live a few years ago, using a borrowed napkin, which is absolutely killer. So I perform it on mat and I explain it. I don't explain it, sorry, but I talk about why it's so good and where you can learn it from. So go check that out. That's well worth looking at. And thanks very much to everybody that said that they like the idea of the retro reviews and the Forgotten Gems. That's what this channel's all about. Okay, so the next question, not really a question, but it's a statement that a few people have agreed to, is from Magic Elliott. And Magic Elliott says, I can give lots of recommendations about gaining experience as a hobbyist magician. I think it would be a great idea for Craig to interview a hobbyist magician. Somebody no one has ever heard of, but they can speak to the majority of your viewers. And a lot of people have said, yes, I agree wholeheartedly. I'd love to see a talk magic with a hobbyist. Great idea. I'd also like to see this. So, Magic Elliott, if you're watching this, please contact me. If it was your idea and you're a hobbyist, I want to interview you. Just drop me an email at craig@magictv.org. That's craig@magictv.org. And we will make it happen, and I'll do an interview with you. If that's what people want to see, that's what this channel's all about. I think it's a really good idea as well. So let's make it happen. Okay, so the next question is from Anthony DeLongpre. How you doing? Hope you're well. And Anthony says 2 things. 1, will you interview Paul Key? Working on it. Don't worry. Number 2, when you interview Russ Stevens, can you use Ryland's Blackpool performance as a case study for Russ to describe what he looked for when he first saw it, what he changed, and why for the final performance? Since you've seen that whole process, picking that apart to get Russ's thinking would be really interesting. It would also be great to see Ryland's performance if you're allowed to post it. Ryland is a gem, and we're very lucky to have his input on this channel. Thanks very much. Appreciate that. Yes, I've already interviewed Russ. If you type in Russ Stevens, Talk Magic, or Russ Stevens Magic TV. You'll see his interview come up. It's in the Talk Magic playlist. It's an incredible interview. He talks about his time in doing Mystique. He talks about the Blackpool Magic Convention. He talks about his career as an illusionist. He talks about BGT. He talks about a whole bunch of stuff, actually, and working with children, which Russ is really passionate about. However, I really like your idea of doing that, and I think that would be really fun. So I will reach out to Russ, and I'll see if he can do that. I'll see if that's something he'd be open to. I really do think he will, because he's very much like me. He loves to give back to the magic community, and I think that's a really smart idea. As for Ryland's performance, I know that it's been videoed. I know the video exists. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to share it or not, but I know the video exists. Let me find out where it is and what's going on and whether I can share it. And if I can, I will. No problem at all. Okay, so the next question is from David M. How you doing, David? Hope you are well. David says, Craig, when you perform, do you ever incorporate a thinker card effect? I love Mark O'Brien's Outstanding and will often use that, but also bought the Lynx wallet, but have not had a chance to set it up yet. Wondering what you ever use for this type of effect. Thanks. Yeah, I mean, look, here's the thing. I'm a big advocate of using the mem deck. And for me, one of the big things about a mem deck is it takes any pick a card trick into a name a card trick or a think a card trick. You think of a card, any card. Have you got it? Fantastic. What's the card? 7 of diamonds. Boom, there it is. Thank you very much. It's the same. Outstanding is fantastic for the same reasons. You know, with Outstanding, you literally can have them name any card, and obviously it's in the envelope in your wallet. That's great. That's awesome. What else have we got? Again, by let me think. Okay, so Mark O'Brien also brought out Bang One, which was a wallet, and you take out the wallet, and inside the wallet is an envelope, and inside the envelope is the card that the spectator names. And David Penn brought out a version of that called Bang One Streamlined, which was the same sort of thing with one wallet, which was really good. And then you've got certain card tricks that are structured to be thinker card tricks instead of a picker card trick. So the perfect example here is Any Card by Richard Sanders, because with Any Card by Richard Sanders, they can literally name any card. And you show that you've got 4 aces face up in a face down deck, and those 4 aces have written on the back of them the name of the card that they named, which is really good. One of my favorite thinker card tricks, and it's a really forgotten gem because a lot of people haven't heard of it. It's not been available for a long time, but it's very, very good, is the Predator Wallet by Paul Wilson. And this is something that I used to do for years. I now do something else that's similar to the Predator Wallet, but uses completely different props. But for years, I did the Predator Wallet. And what it is it's a wallet, and you've got money in there, right? Let's say you've got dollar bills. Let's say you've got $3 bills. You open up the wallet, you show you've got $3 bills in there. And you also have a business card. And what you do is you say, I want you to think of any card. I bet you I know what your card is. And you take out the first bill and you say, concentrate on the suit of the card. It's a club. You take the second bill out and you say, concentrate on the value of the card. It's a 7. And whether you've got that right or wrong, it doesn't really matter. Because the final bill you take out, you say, I bet you I predicted that on the back of the business card. And they go, no way, and you turn it over and you go, your card, and it's the your card gag. And it's all very funny, it's all very jokey, but then the bills that have been on the table from the very beginning are turned over, and written on the back of the bills is the name of the card. That's a really killer trick, that is. I mean, that's really, really good. Predator's Wallet is amazing. If you haven't seen it, you can sometimes find them on eBay or on magic groups, but I mean, beg, borrow, or steal Predator's Wallet. It's really, really good. It's kind of similar in a way to the Lynx wallet, but not really. I haven't seen the second one, but I had the first one. What else is that? I mean, obviously, the invisible deck is a thinker card trick when you think of it. Name a card, boom, it's the only card turned over in the deck. I mean, that's the ultimate think of a card trick when you actually think about it that way. And then you've got, the sort of thing that Matt Wright does, which is a thinker card with a regular deck where you just spread through the deck and you say, think of a card. Have you got one? Fantastic. Okay. And you just tell them what the card is. And I've mentioned it on the channel before. My friend Nemid, he is incredible at think of a card. In fact, if you go back and look at the interview with Nemid Phoenix, he actually demonstrates in the interview his think a card handling, and he actually talks about why it's such a strong trick. So I've given you quite a few examples there. Hopefully that helps. I mean, there's lots of different ways that you can turn a name a card, a pick a card trick into a think a card trick. But there's lots of different stuff out there. Brainwave deck, Alone by David Regal. The list goes on and on and on. There's so many routines out there that give the audience the impression that they're having a free choice of any card and they're just thinking of the card as opposed to picking it. Okay, so the next question is from Adrian Suter, and Adrian says, what are the pros and cons of different mem decks, and why did you choose Mnemonica? It's a very good question. Why did I choose Mnemonica? Well, here's the absolute God's honest truth. I learned the mem deck years ago, right? So I learned the mem deck years and years and years ago, and I actually used the Shadow Stack by Tom Crosby, which for my money is still probably one of the, if not the best mem deck stacks ever created. And the reason is, Tom is a genius, right? I mean, I don't know if you realize just how much of a genius Tom is, but he is actually a genius in every way, shape and form. And I'm proud to call him a friend. And I'm proud to call him a friend. I can't remember his name. Tom created a stack called the Shadow Stack, and it's one of the only stacks that has been developed from the ground up for magicians. I mean, Mnemonica was as well, but I mean, for the modern magician. So there's a whole bunch of different routines in there. There's a whole bunch of different tricks in there. There's certain cards in certain positions that will psychologically more likely be named. You can give the deck one shuffle and it goes into a story deck type routine. And also, Tom's got this really smart way of edge marking the cards to make it easier to do estimation routines. Like the Shadow Stack is brilliant. If you haven't seen Tom's work on the Shadow Stack, you should really check it out. So I learned the Shadow Stack. And then I made the same mistake that a lot of people do when they learn a mem deck, which is I promptly spent about 3 or 4 weeks not doing the Shadow Stack and promptly forgot it, which was a bit of a pain in the arse because I really enjoyed doing mem deck work. I hadn't done much tricks at that point, but I kind of really liked it. And it wasn't committed to memory. And I talked about this in my Hows and Whys of the mem deck. When you first learn it, you have to really constantly go through it over and over again to lock it into memory. So the end result of that is I forgot the mem deck. Fast forward years later, Ryland decides at the beginning of lockdown, he wants to learn how to do a mem deck. And I'm like, okay, yeah, no problem. And I couldn't find the information anywhere on the Shadow Stack. And obviously I was locked in the house. So instead, I did have a copy of Mnemonica. So I was like, okay, no problem. Thinking Ryland's not going to bother actually learning a mem deck. And I'll just pay lip service to him. So I was like, okay, no problem. Let's learn Mnemonica. And he was learning 5 every single day. So it took him like 2 weeks to learn it. And I was testing him every day. So I was testing him. And I just learned Mnemonica by accident, by Ryland learning it and me testing him. And that's how I relearned it. And since then, that's become my stack, just because. And what I don't want to do now, I'm 45 years old, I don't think I've got the head or the memory to forget Mnemonica and relearn Shadow Stack. So even though I think Shadow Stack is a much better stack and I think it's the best stack for magicians, I'm stuck with Mnemonica. Not that Mnemonica is a bad thing. I mean, Juan Tamariz is a genius, but if I could literally flick a switch in my head and forget Mnemonica and immediately learn the Shadow Stack with no problems at all, that is what I would do. Unfortunately, I can't. So, yeah, I mean, that's a long-winded answer to say, in my opinion, the best stack out there is the Shadow Stack by Tom Crosby. Okay, we've got another question now from David M. And the question is, as a follow-up to Visible, which I love, you mentioned the Svengali project. As a hobbyist who started out with a stripper deck, but now use regular decks for performing, I just ordered 20 mark stripper decks from Penguin. I'd love to see some ideas from you with a stripper deck. Well, you're in luck, because when I originally sat down with D. Christopher at the 1914 and we discussed the Visible project, we always had in mind a trilogy, which would be the Visible project, then the Svengali project, and then finishing off with the stripper deck. because those are 3 decks that I've worked with many, many years, and I've got a lot of unique concepts that people probably haven't seen before. And the first one that came out was the Visible project. Obviously, that came out, a few months ago now. Very well received, which is great. Everything is in place for the Svengali project. It just needs to be filmed. But in terms of the material and in terms of everything that's going to be on the project, it's all in place. It's all done. It's all there. It's all ready to go. And I showed the footage, not the footage, I haven't even filmed it. I showed the routines to Lloyd, who loves Svengali decks, and he was like, oh my gosh, this is just brilliant. Like, oh my god, I can't believe you've done that. I can't believe you've done that. If you thought the Invisible Deck project had some really wacky, way out there ideas, you ain't seen nothing yet. And then the third one of the trilogy, so to speak, is the stripper deck, because there's so much you can do with the stripper deck. I don't think people realise just how much you can do with the stripper deck. Now, obviously, the Svengali project's not going to be out until later this year. Maybe the stripper deck will be out by the end of this year. I don't know. It might not even be until 2023. I don't know what the 1914's filming schedule is on this stuff at the moment. I know I'm filming with them soon on a couple of projects. But let me give you a piece of advice. Go and learn the Sean Dunn, who is runs the or co-runs the creative team at Penguin. Sean Dunn is awesome. So Sean, I was hanging out with him when I went to Penguin. He's a really great guy. Really like Sean. He fooled the absolute ever-loving pants off me with an out of this world that uses a stripper deck, and it is incredible, and I've been recommending it to everybody since learning it. So if you want to learn an incredible trick using that gaff, this is brilliant. I'm just punched it up on Penguin. Fooled the hell out of me, Cameron Francis. Shockingly direct. I preferred Out of This World. It's my preferred Out of This World, and I think it'll be yours as well. Dan Harlan. I mean, it's incredible. You can get it directly from Penguin Magic. Just search Done Deal. So Done, D-U-N-N, Deal, D-E-A-L. By Sean Dunn. You can get it as just a download if you've already got the deck, or you can have the gimmick included as well. And if you want to see some great magic with a with that style of deck, that is something that you absolutely 100% have to check out, man. It is really good. Okay, so the next question is from Sean McNulty Magician, and Sean says, I have more questions. Amazing. That's what I want. I've been doing card to envelope, then after it, putting it in a card sleeve protector, but realised I can replace the envelope with a card protector. Do you think that it would have the same impact as the envelope? Yes, I do. I think if you had, I'm guessing the envelope's in the wallet, right? So you've got a card, a signed card that disappears. You open up the wallet. Inside the wallet's an envelope, and inside the envelope is the card. I think, I've never seen that before, but I think it's a really good idea to have a card protector set up instead and have it go into a card protector. I think that's really good. And if you did that and you've naturally brought this card protector into play, you could then do that John Gustafaro routine, which is really killer. It's like a card protector, and you put a card in the card protector and it vanishes very, very cleanly whilst being held by the spectator, and then appears back inside there. I mean, it's incredible. It really, really is. If you haven't seen that, I'll do it on a Magic Live at some point, but if you haven't seen that, go and check it out. It's really good. But yeah, I mean, I think, you could go, well, it's not as strong because the envelope's not sealed, but I just think the fact that it's in a card protector, that's inside a wallet, I think that would be really cool, and it opens up more possibilities of how you can transition from that routine into something else. So I think that's a really good idea, Sean. Yeah, I think that's really good. Okay, so the next question is from Marcus J. Hey, Marcus. And Marcus says several things. So where can I get my hands on Crystalise, Craig? Well, it is available from PropDog. So if you contact PropDog, you can get it directly from them. Or it will be going into Murphy's soon, I believe. So once it's in Murphy's, it will go to all good magic dealers, and you'll be able to get it from everywhere. Now, PropDog do ship worldwide. So if you want to, get it from them now, you can do. But if you want to wait, and you want to get it, from your favorite magic dealer, for some reason, then that's absolutely fine. I don't know when, it's not my department, but at some point it will be going out to all good magic dealers. Next question. You recently mentioned at Blackpool Magic Convention you saw a cups and balls routine performed with ceramic chopped cups, coffee beans, and ending with a full cup of beans and one being filled with coffee. Did you say this was by Adam Wilbur? And if so, any idea when, if he's releasing it anytime soon? Would love a good and modern take on such a classic. Yeah, I mean, he was demoing it at the Blackpool Magic Convention on his stand, on the Vulpine stand. And it is coming soon. I know that it's coming out very, very soon. I think April or May. And this set is incredible. I honestly think this is the final word on cups and balls. You get ceramic cups, but I mean, you could drop them on the floor and they bounce. They're incredible. You also get an incredible loading system. So you can just make coffee beans appear. You can make liquid loads appear. I mean, the whole thing is just ridiculous. You know, you got so much stuff in here, and the tutorial is incredible. Like, genuinely, I feel sorry for anybody that ever tries to bring out a cups and balls after this, because this is the quintessential project on the cups and balls, and he's had loads of creators contribute their cups and balls routines to the project. So there's so much going on in there. It's brilliant. I'm so excited. I have one because I'm contributing to the project, and I cannot wait for you guys to see this. Anybody who saw it at Blackpool, like Roddy McGee saw it at Blackpool, I was talking to him afterwards, and he said that this was the trick of the convention for him. Like, out of everything he saw at Blackpool 2022, this was the thing that was most exciting for him. And I totally get where it's coming from. It is an incredible product. I know Adam's been working on this for 10 years, and it's going to be amazing. It is absolutely going to be amazing. So keep an eye on Vulpine. If you haven't already signed up to their emails, go into Vulpine's website, sign up to their emails, and I'm reckoning that is going to be when you first find out that this thing is going to be coming out. Although, having said that, I know, just like everything else that Vulpine do, it will be going into Murphy's, just like Crystalise, so it'll be available from your favourite magic dealer. Okay, so the next question is Sheridan Coldstream, who I met at Blackpool. How are you? Hi, Craig. Really good to meet you outside the Ruskin on Thursday evening. Thank you for taking the time to chat. Coin magic. Very motivated to get good at this after Blackpool. I bought a TUC coin and dollars, and also alchemy. Working hard at getting a coin into classic palm. Can you suggest a simple routine that perhaps avoids the classic palm? Resources so far include Bobos and David Roth, but need to work something out that doesn't seem unachievable. Any advice? Yes, I'm going to give you 3 things that you can do, because I don't want to overload you. The first is Gadabout Coins, which was in Bobos. So if you've got a copy of Bobos, get yourself Gadabout Coins. Go and look on there for Gadabout Coins. It's a 2 in the hand, 1 in the pocket style routine, but it all works out of finger palm. There is a multiple clip pass in there, but you can do that from finger palm as well, if you want to. And it's a really cool routine, and something that I've done for years. You know, Gadabout Coins is great. The second place is, and somebody's actually mentioned this, which is really funny. Michael Lawrence has replied to you and said a particular Greg Wilson trick, which is true. Questionable trick, which he put in his off the cuff DVD, which you can get from Penguin Magic now as a download. It has a really nice 2-coin transposition that's got a very interesting hook as well. So it's well worth checking that out as well. Also, a routine of mine called Sponge, which I teach on my upcoming Penguin Live, which is a transposition between a coin and a sponge ball. That just works from finger palm, and it's actually quite easy to do and packs a real punch. And then finally, without wanting to make this about my own products, when the Netrix launches, there are a ton of routines that just work from finger palm, that don't require a classic palm at all. Every single routine on there has a difficulty rating, and a difficulty rating of 1 or 2 means that it's all working from finger palm and no classic palm. So there's a ton of them on there, and also the sleight section for coins. I think there's like 120 sleights over the different sections, because there's a section on click passes, section on coin loads, utility coin vanish, loads of stuff. So you can go onto Netrix. You can look at all of the coin routines. You can pick anything on there that has, because when you look at the landing page for each trick, it tells you what sleights are involved. So you can look for the ones that don't use classic palm, and then all you have to do then is just go in and learn it. And if there's a move in there that you don't know, you can just go look at the sleight section and the move will be there. So Netrix, when it launches, would be a good place for you to go because there's a ton of content on there with coins and more being added. As soon as it launches, every couple of weeks, we'll be adding new routines as well. So Netrix, Bobos, and Off the Cuff by Greg Wilson. Also, while we're talking about Penguin, check out, it's a very old DVD now, but it's still, it's still up there, in my opinion. It's still good. Jane Noblezada's And Then There Were Coins. You can find that on Penguin. And Then There Were Coins by Jane Noblezada. For many, many years, it was the go-to coin project. It's been superseded now by things like Metal, which is a great series, but can get quite advanced, later on in the series. But And Then There Were Coins has some incredible stuff on it, and none of it is actually that difficult. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I would stick with that. Go with that first of all, and if you want more suggestions, let me know. Okay, so the next question is from Sean McNulty Magician, and Sean says, there are magic shows and motivational seminars. Could you do a motivational magic show and make it work? Well, I don't know if you know this, but one of my big things that I do outside of Magic TV and Slightly Unusual is I kind of go out. For many, many years, my strapline was the Motivational Magician, which was a strapline that was kind of gifted to me by Brad Burton. And I get booked quite a lot as a motivational speaker that's kind of got a background in magic. And what I do is, my particular niche is business success. And my particular niche is talking to small to medium-sized business owners about how to level up their business. And I come from the point of view of somebody who started a business that has become very successful, and I just give really solid business advice. And I've been booked by many companies and many organizations and many business shows and things like that to deliver a talk, and I get booked to go into companies and do this as well. And I bill myself as a motivational magician, but I don't really do a great deal of magic. I do some magic, not a lot of magic, but I do some magic. But it's more about telling stories about me as a magician and how I started as a magician and how I built my business. So there's a lot of talk about magic in there, but there's not really so much talk about. There's not really so many tricks. I do some tricks, probably about 6 tricks that I do through a 45-minute presentation. But the trick is done not specifically to do a trick. It's not done for a trick point of view. It's done to illustrate a point. I'll give you an example. I've got a Rubik's Cube. So this is something that I talk about when I'm doing a motivational talk. A lot of the time I talk about giving up. And so where would I be in this? So it might be something like this. Let me ask you a question. Who here runs their own business? Okay, so who here has ever thought about giving up and quitting, right? Every single person in this room has probably at some point thought about giving up. If you haven't been in business long enough, because it's hard. It's not an easy thing to do. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it, but it's not easy. But I'm here to tell you right now that honestly, you should never give up. So many small businesses fail, so many medium-sized businesses fail, and one of the reasons is because they give up too early, and you really shouldn't. And let me give you an example. I've got a Rubik's Cube here. Does anybody ever seen one of these before? Can anyone solve one without taking the stickers off? The concept of a Rubik's Cube is simple. The more you mix them up, the harder they are to solve. There's actually 47 quintillion million combinations with the Rubik's Cube, which is ridiculous. Now I'm going to try and solve this in less than a second. All I want you to do is watch and don't blink. It's going to be in less than a second. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. That was less than a second, right? Now you're probably wondering, why am I here showing you a trick with a Rubik's Cube? And the reason is very simple. A Rubik's Cube, for me, reminds me of a business. And let me explain what I'm talking about here. You see, when you first start your business, and you have your business plan, you know exactly what that business is meant to look like. It all makes sense. You have it all mapped out in your head, right? Just like a Rubik's Cube. When it's solved, you know exactly what it's meant to look like, right? It all makes sense. And then you start your business. And when you start your business, you start making decisions and you start having to do things that you didn't anticipate you would do within your business. And very, very quickly, you start making these decisions and you start doing various different things that you didn't think you would do. And very, very quickly, you end up in a situation where your business looks nothing like you thought it was going to look like. Like you are as far removed from that successful model that you imagined than anything. And the problem then becomes that you're having to make decisions that you didn't even know you were going to make. So you start making more and more decisions, which start making worse. And it doesn't matter which way you look at the problem, you just end up getting worse and worse and worse until you get to a point where there's just no way that you're ever, ever, ever going to have this where you thought it would be. And that's why people quit. Because they just don't believe. They don't believe that this can ever be what they wanted it to be. Now, the thing with the Rubik's Cube is there's a concept called God's number. Look it up, Google it. It's an actual thing. It's 20. God's number is 20. It means that a Rubik's Cube, no matter how mixed up it is only ever 20 moves away from being solved. A maximum of 20 moves. Now, it can be less. It just depends on study. Like I look at this cube and this cube is only 8 moves away from being solved. It looks like it's thousands of moves away from being solved, but it's only 8 moves. Let me just show you. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's 8 moves away from being solved. So what do we learn about this? We learn something here. What we learn about this is you're closer to success than you could possibly imagine. All you have to do is 2 things. 1, you have to know the moves. And number 2, you have to believe. Because it's all about belief. It's all about belief. It's all about belief. If you don't believe in yourself, then nobody else will believe in you. If you don't, it's why you should never have a plan B. Because if you have a plan B, it means you don't believe in your plan A. And if you don't believe in your plan A, nobody will believe in it either. So you've got to believe in yourself. You've got to believe that you can make it. And you're closer to success than you think. You're probably only a few moves away, but you need to know the moves and so on and so on. And then it goes into a different section. But there's an example of how I actually take what is in essence a magic trick. I'm just using a false mix, right? What is in essence a magic trick, and I'm turning it into a tool in which to hopefully motivate and inspire people. That's the goal. Hopefully that's the goal. So hopefully that answers your question. I would never try to do a magic show that motivates people as a straight up magic show. And I've had people inquire and they go, oh, you're a motivational magician. We want to do a magic show that motivates us. That's not how it works. I can do a magic show that entertains you, or I can do a motivational talk that's got a bit of magic in it that's designed to put across a message, but you can't really do the 2 together. So hopefully that answers your question. I mean, if it didn't answer your question, please clarify and I'll get back to it again next week. But hopefully that's answered your question. Okay, so we have another, less of a question, more of a statement here from Marcus J. And he's talking about, he's basically, if you haven't seen this, go back and look at the Q&A from last Sunday where I was filming it from my hotel room in America. He's put a very useful post on there to do with digital marketing, because my background's in marketing and I can really appreciate everything that Marcus is saying here. I'm not going to read it out. It's going to take too long. But he's got some really solid advice on starting out and digital marketing and creating videos and websites and so on and so forth. So Marcus, I just want to say a personal thank you for posting that. That was very kind of you to put that on there. I completely agree with everything that you've said. So yeah, if you guys want some free marketing advice, go check out Marcus's post. It's really good. So the next question is Lewis Turner, and Lewis says, I have several marked decks and most are unreadable due to poor vision. From someone who also has poor eyesight, which marked decks do you recommend? Yes, my eyesight is terrible. I've never been able to use a marked deck. I've tried loads of them. The only marked deck that I can read and really read well is Steve Deller's Night Flight deck. Steve Della's Night Flight deck for me is absolutely brilliant. I can read it from a mile off. I also can read the Eclipse ESP cards really, really well. And because of how they're designed, the Squid cards by Matthew Wright and Mark Bennett, I can read those. And also the Mark cards in Playlist, I can read those as well. But in terms of an actual deck of cards, the only one I can get away with using to any certain degree of certainty is the Night Flight deck. And actually on Netrix, there's quite a few routines. Night Flight has its own section, which I'm really excited about because there's tons of stuff you can do with the Night Flight deck. And I've never published any routines with a Mark deck before, and I've got a whole bunch of them on Netrix, and so has Steve Della. So there you go. For me, very quick answer, it would be the Night Flight deck by Steve Della. Either the cardboard version or the plastic version. I have both. Okay, so the next question is from Chris James Magic, and Chris says, you have mentioned a thumb tip trick once before where you open a bag of Skittles or something. What is that trick called? I want to learn it, but I can't find it anywhere you mentioned. It sounds awesome. It is an old book called Miracle Material by Michael Kaminskas. Miracle Material by Michael Kaminskas. And it is amazing. I'm trying to see if it's still available. I'm just checking for you. I've interviewed Michael on Talk Magic, so you should check that out. So Miracle Material. Oh, he's got a DVD. Who knew? I didn't know. So he's got a DVD, which is available. Oh, is this a book? Is it a book or is it a DVD? No, it's a book. In stock. Brilliant. No, it is a book. Okay, so there you go. So yes, I'm looking here, and the first search result that came up was Prop Dog, and they have got it in stock. And you can see, imagine, and there's some amazing material in here, some absolutely amazing material. And yeah, that's one of the routines in there is the Skittles routine, which I absolutely love. Like, I absolutely love that routine. So Miracle Material by Michael Kaminskas. I'm just trying to see if, hang on, it might, I'm just checking one thing for you. I'm doing the research here for you, so I hope you don't mind. I have a feeling that that particular trick might have been, no, live. Okay, here we go. So Michael Kaminskas did a live on Penguin. Let's have a look, see if it's on there. So Michael Kaminskas did a live on Penguin. Let's have a look at the routines. Here we go. Candy Caper. Yes, it's on his Penguin live. Tear a pack of candy open, pour some out, and instantly reseal the package and hand them out. If desired, you can even change the whole packet of candy to a different brand. There you go. It is on his Penguin live. So just type in Michael Kaminskas. Kaminskas spelled Kaminskas live. So Michael Kaminskas, and it's on his Penguin live, which is available as a download. So you want to learn it? That's the place to go. Okay, so the next question is from Donald420, and Donald420 says, I missed your lecture at Blackpool. Unfortunately, outside of the Penguin Live that you mentioned, is there anywhere else that I can watch you lecture in the coming weeks and months? I am starting to do more lectures. I have openly said that I'd like to do more lectures in the UK and abroad. I'd like to get to more conventions. I really enjoy hanging out with magicians and chatting to magicians and talking to them. It's one of my favourite things in the whole world. So yes, I will be doing more lectures. I mean, there's two that are coming up very, very soon. The one is specifically just for Magic Circle members, and it is tomorrow. So if you're watching this on the Sunday, which you should be, then which is the Sunday, I don't know what. I have no idea what day we're on right now. I've got literally no clue. I'm losing track of stuff. Okay, yeah, so Sunday the 13th, you should be watching this, right? On Monday the 14th, I'm lecturing at the Magic Circle headquarters in London. I'm lecturing live at the Magic Circle headquarters in London, so it's not like a Zoom lecture. I'm going to be there, and I'm doing like a 90-minute lecture there, so that'll be fun. Yeah, off the back of the lecture, It's also going to be zoomed out, I think. So if you're a Magic Circle member and you can't make it to London, it's also going to be streamed. The other thing that I'm going to do, and I've literally just confirmed this today, so I think it's going to be announced officially over the next few days, but I'm going to be lecturing at the Wessex one-day convention. The Wessex one-day convention I went to a couple of years ago, and it was a really good convention. There were some great lecturers there, and I had a lot of fun. It was a really good convention. Well, I'm going to be lecturing there on, I think it's the 3rd of April. It's the 3rd of April. So Sunday the 3rd of April, I'm going to be lecturing there. I think I've got the 4 o'clock slot, so I'm going to be lecturing there. They've also got some incredible lecturers going there. They've also got an incredible gala show. They've got Megan Swan, I believe, on the gala show. They've got Matrix Illusions on the gala show. They've got, who else have they got? They've got Jamie Raven on the gala show. They've got some incredible names on the gala show, but in the day they've also got some brilliant lectures, and I'm going to be doing some really fun stuff in my lecture. So the Wessex Magic Convention is one of the best one-day magic conventions in the UK. It is a really fun convention to go to. If you haven't been there, it's well worth going and checking out. So you can go and get to that convention. It's on the 3rd of April, and I'm going to be there all day, hanging out, jamming with people. Because part of the deal was, I said, look, I want to be there all day. I want to be hanging out, in the dealer room and just showing people magic and stuff. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to be there all day. Please feel free to come over to me and say hi and show me some tricks and sit down and chat to me. It's going to be less manic for me than Blackpool. So I'm going to have a lot more free time, and then I'll be doing my lecture at about 4 o'clock. So yeah, there you go. Go check it out. I'll put a link down below, actually, to the website. Okay, so the next question is from the Drunk Magic ukulele player, and he says, or she says, I don't know. Hi, Craig, just a thought. BBC Radio does Desert Island Discs. Why don't you do a version of interviews called Desert Island Tricks? Also, are there any tricks that you either don't like or hate performing, but still do them because the audience likes them? Finally, please, can you tell my girlfriend Claire that I love her and I need a new guitar? I've also managed to solve a Rubik's Cube, which I never would have done without your advice. Many thanks for the time you give. You are more than welcome. So first of all, Claire, I don't even know his name. Claire, the Drunk Magic ukulele player, loves you dearly. Buy him a new guitar. He wants to upgrade from a ukulele to a guitar. He needs a new guitar. You can make this happen. Second of all, are there any tricks I don't like that I still perform? No, I tend to be kind of the guy that if I don't like performing it, I don't do it, even if it gets a good reaction, because I think part of the thing is I think if I didn't like doing something, I wouldn't put 100% into it, and if I didn't put 100% into it, I think that would show to the audience. So I suppose the closest I can probably get is Ambitious Card, which I've just done to death. But it always gets a great reaction, so I keep it in there. But it's not like I hate it. It's just like I've done it for like 20 years now, and it's like it's one of those 1,000 timers, and I do always get a great reaction from it. But it's one of those ones that I just switch off because I know it's just gonna. I know it inside out, back to front. I know every patter line, every move, everything. But no, there's not really anything that I do in my act that I don't enjoy, because if I don't enjoy performing it, there's a very good chance that I'm not going to do it, if that kind of makes sense. As for the Desert Island Tricks, it's an interesting concept. I don't really understand how an interview would work. I've never watched Desert Island Discs, so I'm not too sure. Can you clarify? Can you tell me what what would Desert Island Tricks look like for you? I'm happy to do an interview segment on it. I just don't know how you would envisage that working. So let me know in the comments, and yeah, we can make that happen. So the next question is Lee Milne, and he said, thanks for answering my question. Did Joshua J mention the Kermit thing? No, he didn't. And I know he listens to the podcast. And no, he didn't. He didn't mention the Kermit thing. So I think I'm going to have to be, and Josh is a lovely guy. I love him to bits. I really do. And I think he knows I'm just joshing him. Get what I did there? Joshing him. But I think I need to be less subtle. Next time I come, I think I'm going to be at Magic Live, and if I am at Magic Live, I think the next thing that I'm going to do is he will be there. Obviously, I'm sure he'll be at Magic Live. I think I'll have a T-shirt. I was going to get a T-shirt made, and I didn't have time with Josh's face on there, and I think just the slogan, "It's not easy being Josh." I think that's subtle enough that it would work. Maybe I can get a rise out of him that way. I don't know. We'll see. But no, he never mentioned it, even though we chatted several times. I think he's just a really nice guy. So the next question is from Sting. How you doing, Sting? Sting says, when's the new Keymaster released? You know what? I know they've got the gimmicks. I know they've got the packaging. They now have the tutorial. They have the live performances. They have 3 hours of explanation. They have everything they need. I think it's going to be pretty damn soon. I don't know exactly what Penguin's release schedule is, but I think it's going to be soon, and I cannot wait for people to see it because there is so much new material on this project. It is just way beyond the original Keymaster. We've now taken it to an entirely new level. It's very, very exciting. It's going to be dropping very soon, I think. I would be amazed if it was further than May. I think it's probably going to be a lot earlier than that. I'd be amazed if it's further along than May. So next question is from David Blaine. How you doing, man? And David says, can you make a video on mental photography deck? You know, I've never thought about doing a video on the mental photography deck before. That would be quite a challenge because I've never even considered it. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, there's only one thing you can do with it, which is take a deck of cards, show it blank, and turn it into a printed deck of cards. But then again, that's what everyone thought about the invisible deck. So maybe I'm just not applying myself, and maybe I should have a fresh look at it. I will do that. I will go look at my mental photography deck, because I have one. I will go look at my mental photography deck, and just for you, Mr. Blaine, I will try and figure out something else that you can do with it beyond the obvious. There's got to be something, right? There's got to be. Anyone know any routines with a mental photography deck? I mean, I'm just sitting here and thinking, it's a blank deck that prints and then goes back to blank. What else can you do with it? But like I say, that's what everyone thought about the Svengali deck and the invisible deck. So I'm sure there's something we can do. Let me leave it with me and let me see what we can do. Maybe I can put together a hows and whys of the mental photography deck for you. Okay, so another question from Lee Mill Magician. He says, I listen to the Talk Magic interviews on podcast form, great for driving, etc. Awesome, glad you do. Any chance the Q&As can be released as podcasts? I don't think so. I'm not going to do the Q&As as podcasts because a lot of the time it's visual. I'm picking up a deck of cards or coins or demonstrating something, and I don't think that they would work on podcast. I think they're better as a video. The Talk Magics, I totally agree. They're perfect for podcast form, which is why we jumped them on a podcast a few days later. But in terms of the in terms of the Q&A, I think I'm going to keep them on the channel because I think that visual element would be lost if they went on a podcast. But let me know what you think. I mean, this channel, everything I do, whether it's the Talk Magic podcast, the Magic podcast with Lloyd and myself, whether it's all of the content that I put on Magic TV, it's all designed to make sure that you guys get what you want out of this channel. And if you guys want the Q&A on a podcast, let me know. Maybe I can make it happen. Let me know in the comments down below. My gut feeling is no, but let me know what you think. Okay, so the next question is from Marcus J. And Marcus says, Craig, listen to the recent podcast with Lloyd. You mentioned a £100 card that you didn't sound like you had much idea what you purchased. No, man, I was drunk at the time and I just looked at it and Lloyd said, this is good. I'm like, yeah, I'll buy it. The trick is called Nipe, and after seeing it on his Instagram, I was really impressed. As everything is down to that single card, is it well made? I have no problem dropping the money for something so beautifully visual as long as the working aspects are going to hold up. I don't know. Leave it with me and I'll find out for next week. I'll be honest with you. So I went to Blackpool, right? And on a Sunday night, me and Rylan were up till 3 o'clock in the morning with Michael O'Brien. And so Monday was a write-off. And I was in Blackpool until Wednesday. And then I came back on the Wednesday. And then at 6 o'clock in the morning, I went to Penguin. And I came back from Penguin on the Friday afternoon. Saturday was Thea's birthday. Sunday I had a ton of videos to record because I needed to catch up with the schedule because I'd kind of almost run out over the whole last week and a half. And then this week I've been dealing with Magic TV stuff. I've been, we're very close to launching Netrix. I'm so excited. We're almost there. And we were dotting I's and crossing T's with that. Plus, I was running back and forth, recruiting and interviewing staff. It was manic. It was manic. So that £100 card that you're mentioning, and thank you for the name of it. I didn't even know. It's currently sitting in a carrier bag over there in the corner of my office, just sitting there. I haven't done anything with it yet. So at some point this week, I will open it. And I will let you know. I will let you know next week. Hopefully, if I've had time to look at it, I'll let you know what the quality is. I'm sure I can do some sort of review on it, or I can do a Magic Live on it or something. But it looked really good from what I remember. Okay, so the next thing is from Alex Kilpatrick, and he's talking about the retro reviews, which I said a lot of people have talked about. But he's got some specific stuff he wants to mention. I think that they could have 3 types of retro reviews. Forgotten tricks, basically what you described, which is what I did on Wednesday, with the light bulb thing in the napkin. Bad knee-jerk tricks could be older or more recent, but tricks where the initial knee-jerk reaction was incorrect. Oh, so you're talking about a trick that maybe everybody said was bad, but it ended up being good, and highlighting that. I like that. I think that's a good idea. And C, missing link tricks that were ahead of their time, or just meh on their own and could be combined with another gimmick routine, etc. That's also a really good idea. I really like that. I'm going to incorporate that into the stuff that's going up on the Wednesday, the Forgotten Gems section. So yeah, thanks very much. I will definitely take that advice on board. Okay, so the next question is from Stuart Etheridge, and Stuart says, write the book. The idea of writing so much more than a book of tricks would be perfect. Parlor Tricks by Morgan and West is a great example of this. Joshua Jay's How Magicians Think contains no tricks at all. You could absolutely kill this concept. I've been thinking more about the book, and I think that I could definitely, it's going to happen. I'm speaking to people. I'm speaking to people about the possibility of creating a big book with maybe a launch date of Blackpool 2023, and make it a really big book of stories, concepts, theory, and tricks. But I'd want it to be I want to write it myself. So I'm giving myself almost a year on this. But I'm speaking to a company right now, and when I have the deal finalized, when I have the I's dots and the T's crossed and it's a done deal, then I will share with you what I'm planning on doing with it. But tentatively, in my head, I'm thinking a book by Blackpool 2023. Okay, so the final question today is from Illusionists Edzus. How you doing, man? Hey, I always love the videos where you and Ryland are together. You're both so passionate about magic. I saw Ryland performing at Blackpool, and you can see he loves it. That was awesome. Thank you very much, man. I never thought I'd ask something like this, but I'm a new father myself. I have a 6-month-old son. Congratulations. Changes your life. How did you make him love magic so much? I know it's not a channel about raising children, but I really don't want my kid to hate magic. I've seen that kids often don't like the stuff parents do, and I don't want him to be a magician or anything like that, but it'd be cool if he likes magic. Maybe you can share some of your methods. Thanks. I'll be honest with you, I don't really have a method as to how I got Ryland to like magic at all. I think I've mentioned this a long time ago on the channel, but my dad was into, I love my dad to bits, and my dad was into air modelling. And he was into making airplanes out of balsa wood and remote controls and stuff like that. And he made me sit with him and make little airplanes, and I hated every second of it. When I was a kid, I was a gamer. I didn't get into magic until I was 18, and I just wanted to be up in my bedroom playing games. What I didn't want to be doing is fannying around with balsa wood. That just wasn't something that was on my agenda, and I made every excuses that I could find to not do that, right? So I said to my wife when Ryland was born, that and I said the same thing to her when Thea was born, which is I'm not going to force the kids to watch magic or learn magic or do magic. If they want to, then that's great, but if they don't want to, that's also fine. They've got to find their own path. I'm kind of lucky in a way that Ryland has always loved magic. Thea doesn't. Thea loves watching magic. In fact, she always goes up to Ryland saying, show me a trick. And Ryland shared a couple of videos of him performing at Thea's birthday party recently. And she actually asked him to do a magic show. Not me, him. Like, Ryland, can you do a magic show for my friends for my birthday? So she loves magic. She loves watching magic. I mean, she went to Blackpool and hung out the whole time and watched all of the gala shows and loved it. She loves watching magic, but she does not like performing magic. She doesn't like practicing. Thea does not like practicing. She finds it dull and repetitive. Ryland, on the other hand, loves magic and has done ever since he was a kid. But he's got a very eclectic range of things that he's into. It's not just magic, because we post about magic all of the time. Obviously, it looks like he's just into magic. But he's got two massive drum sets, a full electronic drum set in his bedroom, which obviously he has headphones for, and a big massive one down the garden. He's got two drum sets. He's amazing at the drums. I couldn't do it to save my life. He skateboards really, really well. He's plays football in goal brilliantly. He's the goalkeeper in his school team or whatever it is. So he's got he builds Lego. He spends hours sitting there building Lego. Just like he's a Lego freak. Like, you could just literally, you don't want to bet, he could take just a bucket of random Lego and build anything that you want him to build. So he's got a very broad range of interests. Magic is probably the main interest, but he likes a whole bunch of other stuff as well. And I think if I was going to give you one tip, it would be just be the sort of person that takes an interest in whatever it is that your kid is doing. So I'm not a fan of football at all. Like, I don't like playing football. I don't like watching football. I hate football. I don't hate football. That's not true. But it bores the living tits off me. However, Ryland is obsessed with football. He loves it. So what do? I take him down the park most evenings, and I play football with him and Thea because they both love football. Football games on the TV, and I'll sit there and watch it with him. It's about taking an interest in what he's interested in. And, I'm using Ryland as an example. It's also important that I take an interest in what Thea's interested in. And I do that an awful lot. I know every Disney princess off by heart. I know all the Disney songs. I can sing them all badly. But the point that you're asking specifically about magic. So take an interest in what they're into, and just be the sort of person that they want to hang out with. Don't be that angry, shouty. And I'm not saying that you are, but don't be the sort of person that's all very angry and shouty. I treat Ryland like an adult. I don't know if that comes across in the review shows and when we're interacting on the screen before, but I treat him like an adult in many ways. I have adult conversations with him. And I think that's really important because, he's old enough. He's 9 now. He's old enough to understand that I'm treating him with respect. Now, obviously, he's a kid and you can get into trouble. And there's many times that I've had to tell him off for pile driving his sister onto the sofa or whatever it may be. But, you just take an interest in everything that your kid's doing. And just make magic fun. Make it all fun. If it's fun, your kid's going to want to do it, right? If it's strict, when we practice magic, we do it together. Ryland practices on his own for sure, but his favorite thing is practicing magic with me because he likes hanging out with me. So his favorite thing in the world is we'll sit there together at a table and we'll just be showing each other tricks and working on new routines and working on new ideas and learning new tricks and stuff like that. You want to make the practice of magic fun, and part of that is when you teach them the first trick, make it something that's accessible, that they can do straight away. Something, Marvin's Magic is a great example, like a dice bomb or something that they can immediately show their friends and go, look, I can do magic. Look at this is amazing. Because then they're gonna get that reaction of, and they're gonna want to learn more, and they're gonna want to learn more, and they're gonna want to learn more. Ryland's now interested in the performance side of things, especially from working with Russ Stevens on the Blackpool Gala show. So Ryland will spend hours learning. He will just strut around his room trying to, work on his stage presence and stuff, and that's great. And but that came over time. We didn't immediately start teaching him that stuff. That came very later on in his journey. I mean, initially it was just learning magic tricks. If you look at the very first Craig and Ryland review show, and you look at how Ryland was then, and he'd been learning magic for a long time at that point, but then you compare him to the Ryland we have now, it's a polar opposite. But it's just because we've encouraged him and made it fun, and I think that's the most important thing. Make it fun, and don't be disappointed if don't ever force your kid to learn magic. Or if I say to Rye, "Hey Rye, got a new download here, would you like to watch it with me?" And he's like, nah Dad, I'm building Lego. I'm not going to go, "Stop building that Lego and come in here near me now." I'm like, "Okay, cool, well, let me get on the floor and build some Lego with you." And I think he realizes, he's old enough to realize that I'm coming to him and I'm spending time doing stuff with him, and he's going to come and do stuff that I love, and he loves it, and we love it together. And hopefully it comes across that Ryland is as passionate about magic as I am, if not more so, to be honest. So yeah, I mean, that's wishy-washy. I'm not very good at giving advice on parenting. I'm still figuring it out myself, to be perfectly honest. But for sure, the one big piece of advice I'd give you is just make it fun. Just spend time with your kid, and spend quality time with your kids. At the end of the day, the most thing. But they're going to grow up at some point, and they're not going to want anything to do with you. So there's only a certain amount of years where they idolize you. So make the most out of it, right? That's probably the most important thing, and just make it fun. And congratulations, because having a kid is absolutely brilliant. So hopefully that helped. Hopefully, I'm sure there's some expert parents in the chat or in the comments that can chip in and add something. But that's kind of my 2 pence worth. There is one other question, and I want your feedback on this, if that's okay. If you've made it to this point in the Q&A, I want your feedback. And the feedback on this is, I've had a couple of people, not many, but I've had a couple of people kind of, I don't want to say moan, because moan is not the right word, but kind of upset, a little bit upset, that it's rare that I actually answer people's comments on the YouTube channel. And I apologise. The one couple of people are actually really upset that I never reply to comments, and what's the point in commenting if you never reply? I read every comment, I really do. And you are right, I don't reply to many comments. And, somebody made a point of saying if you replied to more comments, and if you made an effort to reply to more comments, then there's a chance that maybe your channel would grow bigger and it would jump off. And they compared it to Lloyd's channel, and Lloyd always replies to comments, and that's very true. And I'm sure the channel would grow a lot bigger if I replied to every comment. The problem is there are literally hundreds of comments. I will open up my phone in the morning and I'll look, and there's been literally about 30 or 40 comments. It might look like there's only a lot of people, because new people are finding Magic TV all the time. I get so many comments on older videos. I get comments on videos from 2 years old, 6 months old, a year old. I literally, there's probably upwards of 100, 200 comments a day. And if I tried to answer every single comment, you wouldn't be getting as much content on this channel as there is right now. Because one thing that people ask me is, how do I get done as much as I do? How do you run 3 companies, and you're a performer, and you're a motivational speaker, and you're a dad, and you're a husband, and you create magic, and you go off to film magic with various different companies, and you're producing 27 videos a week now, and do all this. Well, the way I do it is I'm hyper aware of what I'm capable of. And what I don't like to do is I don't like to promise something to somebody and then not deliver. If I make the decision that I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it to the best of my ability, and I'm going to deliver what I promised. So if I say that there's going to be a Q&A up every Sunday, I'm going to kill myself to make sure there's a Q&A up every Sunday. It is currently 1 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday, and I'm filming this video because I know that over the next 2 days, I'm not going to have time to do it. So I will move hell and high water to make sure that I deliver on any promise that I make. If I sit there and answer every comment, that's going to take hours. It's either going to be my business that suffers, it's going to be a relationship with my wife that suffers, it's going to be the relationship with my kids that suffer, it's going to be something is going to give. And I've never said I will answer everyone's comments. And the thing is, I've considered in the past just getting somebody in my marketing team to reply to comments and going, thanks, thanks, thanks. But I think that's too impersonal. When a comment is replied to on this channel, it's because I have replied to the comment. And I don't want to have people, having a thanks, when they've put a really big comment in. It's one of the reasons why I set up the Q&A very early on in the life of the channel, because I knew that I could do a Q&A and I could take everyone's questions and put a video together like this that would answer everyone's questions. And that was kind of my solution to it. But if there's anybody watching this that's upset because I don't reply to their comments, I'm very sorry. I listen to every comment. I read every comment. And I would love to reply to every comment, but if I did, I would not get anywhere near as much done in a day as I need to get done. I'm already pushing it to its limits. Even with me, I'm very good at time management. And even with everything I know about time management, I am pushing myself to my absolute limits in terms of what I'm actually capable of doing. And that would push me over the edge. So yes, I am sure that if I answered everyone's comments, or I answered 5 comments on each video, bearing in mind I'm doing 28 videos a week, yes, maybe I'd get more subscribers, maybe I'd get more watch time. But for me, it's not about the subscribers, it's not about the watch time, it's about putting content out there that people enjoy. And I would rather spend more time creating a video that genuinely helps people than just writing a reply on a comment, because also I'd want to put a thorough reply in. I wouldn't want to just put a one-word reply. So I don't know. Look, this is not really a question. It's something that's come up from a few different people this week. I just want to say, look, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I've upset you because you've left a comment and I haven't replied to it. I apologize. I have never promised that I will reply to every comment. I read every comment. I love it when people comment, but I just genuinely don't have time to reply to everyone's comments. If you want me to start replying to people's contents, we're going to have to cut the content down on this channel quite considerably, because that's the only way I'm going to be able to do it. So yeah, I'm very sorry. I'll try to answer more people's comments as and when I have time. But yeah, I'm sorry. That's all. That's all. To everyone that was upset, I'm sorry. So there you go, guys. That is another Q&A in the bag. Thank you so much for joining me on a Sunday afternoon. Do not forget that we have a review show special up tonight at 9 o'clock and a live at 6 o'clock. And a shorts at 2 o'clock. There's a lot going on here this Sunday on Magic TV. I'm going to be back on Monday with another 3 videos, including a 5x5 at... when's the 5x5 going up? 5x5 is going up at 9 o'clock. And don't forget, as per normal, if you want to see more videos like this, you know what you got to do. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below, and I will be back again. I'll be back again soon. I'll be back again, like I said, 3 videos today. You'll be seeing a lot more of me. So thanks very much for watching. Have an amazing weekend, what's left of it. If you're a Magic Circle member and you're joining me at the Magic Circle on Monday, that'd be amazing. Come and say hi. And I'll see you again soon. My name's Craig from Magic TV.